Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die, they stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like it's going to be, F assets and layer cake it's going to be a real catalyst for adoption and participation within the Flare network because I always like to think of the Flare network as a community of communities, connecting all of these blockchains and all of these people that have interest in specific networks. They're going to almost be able to do that and use the Flare network as a hub where it can be the favorite asset can be bridged over trustlessly and interact with all of the many great applications that are hosted on the network. Ferdy, I guess your answer could be quite similar to Marcus's. I'm sure that your community expanded massively due to the launch of staking or the ability to stake. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. 2023 was, of course, a very important year to grow our user base. And really, without them, of course, there's not going to be any app. So without the community, we're not. We could not have made it this far, obviously. And it's really them that bring the quality into the app. We have individuals DMing us, saying, "Can you add this feature? There's a bug here. There's a typo there." And they really help us to really bring the quality into the app. Now, of course, we provide functionality to whatever we think is best. But thanks to everyone's input, we can really fine tune the functionality and add other features to it. We're actually seeing more and more people engaging with us through direct messages here on X. And that's really the exciting part, to see how people interact with our platform and how they would like to see it. So we're really grateful for everyone even putting a like or a retweet on our posts. It's what's spreading the word of Solidify and really help us grow. Now, of course, very similar. We've behind the scenes, we're also preparing for F assets. And I think this is where really things will start taking off for Solidify as well. Right now we're mostly dealing with the Flare community, but I think once F assets is in place, there's a lot more to come. And I think in a way it was good that we first offered our mobile app for $1 in the App Store because it helped some people back of getting our app. And it really helped us to stabilize the app as we were launching it last year. And I forgot to mention earlier that our app is now also fully free. Now that we're fully confident everything is working as expected. And we're ready for welcoming many, many more communities in the time ahead.
Well, I'm sure you won't be waiting that long. We're going to talk a little bit more about the roadmap, the future roadmap in 2024 with Hugo shortly. But Nick, let's maybe talk to you about the Enosis community and how that's evolved over the past year.
There's definitely a lot to talk about there. I will touch briefly on the obvious things. So over the last year, we have added the support to the Flare network around multiple of our apps. In total, we now have 11 apps up and running, so quite some choices and options for our community out there. Building up, as I mentioned in the beginning, the liquidity layer for the network has been quite important, which has been providing quite some traction, especially on the DEX and for traders out there and so on. And bringing new assets to the Flare network and to the community. We have now USDT, wrapped ETH, we have QNT on the Flare network being traded and available for other builders to utilize in their apps, most importantly, right? Which provides for the developers community as well. But something which is not as obvious, I would say, would be how much of this time we have actually spent on educating our community and our users around how DeFi works, how to troubleshoot what they're doing on chain and around the blockchain overall, how to read the transactions and how to understand what the Explorer is providing as data output, right? So all those things have been quite crucial for the community, and in order to build a more longevous, I guess, to say, community. And I and the team are quite impressed on how quickly the community has learned over the last year and understanding what is happening nowadays on DEX, what's arbitrage, what's impermanent loss, so all those quite complicated things around the blockchain technology. So yeah, I would mostly focus on that and give a shout out to Flintstone and Thanasimos and all the moderators and the team out there who is helping around that.
Yeah, I think it's particularly important, when you're participating in decentralized finance, it is real money that you're playing with, right? Real value, and it's important to understand and get the word out there to the community about what it's all about. And I must give a nod as well to Thanasimos. He put out a great tweet yesterday about concentrated liquidity, which is something I believe you're moving to this year. But maybe we can talk about that in a little bit. But Harish, would you like to talk about the community and how it's evolved in 2023?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, community is definitely the lifeblood, as you mentioned, of Web3 projects, and we're no exception. Covalent was actually a product of a hackathon back in 2018, and he kind of bootstrapped the project by being an active part of many different other communities to start and sort of learn some of the best practices. So that's effectively how we've evolved. I would say in 2023, one of the big learning and growth programs that we run with our community is what's called the Alchemist program. And so we kind of ran through another iteration. And this is really like about empowering what we call an army of data nerds to be able to learn how to analyze, understand on-chain data, how to extract it, how to write various queries to look at things like reach retention revenue. So it was a pretty exciting sort of progression of that program in 2023, and now we sort of expanded even further. So it's sort of this gamified learning and growth program that offers various quests and various sort of perks and benefits to really like level up and sort of grow your skill set. I think being able to understand some of these fundamental primitives of on-chain data are required for everyone to at least know some of the core fundamentals. So that's really what our focus has been for the community to really drive up and level up in 2023 and continue in 2024.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Cannon, do you want to? I know you dropped some impressive metrics earlier for Sparkles. Do you have anything to add about community in 2023?
Of course. Community. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them. I think an interesting point is that Sparkles team is from the community. As in, we founded Sparkles through the Flare Discord. That's how we met all the team members. And it's been quite a journey ever since, as we started from practically zero. But it's been evolving and the community has been expanding. And I think one of the things, like I was saying earlier about the metrics and that, because it's also the community of projects that are on here, Bifrost, Flare Metrics, and you got Flare Builders and that. And we wanted to see how we could help them grow. And one of the things, again, is the metrics that we provide to Flare Builders, for example, and that row or flows down to other integration, and it could be done automated for automated collection metrics and updates. So they do that through a X platform, where they have like a bot or something that just collects it and it's constant updates. And we've noticed like there's more of a reliance on that. But it's demonstrated to us like there's a flywheel effect in utilizing our API endpoints to spread data throughout the Flare ecosystem. But we want to go even beyond that and spread this data outside. So one of the things that we're trying to integrate now is into larger multi-chain platforms like DAppRadar and that, just to get more eyes on Flare and the NFT ecosystem that we have here. But I think like other for community in particular, and let's say like the outer community, we always listen to feedback. We're always fixing stuff. We're always changing stuff. I mean, recently we've been doing a refactoring of our backend architecture and that, just to make sure that it's scalable and there's more stability. So that's been going ahead. And it's really people that come into our tickets. For example, there's Maximator, who's always in our tickets, like giving us, pointing out some things that he notices and that. And it's great to get the feedback from him. It's very valuable. Then you got even people like Jayachi. They're always in Discord and that. They're very excited about Flare. They keep people informed about our tokenomics, white paper and that, things to look out for the future. So it's for us. It's there'll be no ecosystem without the community, or no Sparkles without the community. A big shout out to all of them.
Yeah, that's nice, and I really like that you sort of was founded organically, you know, from I guess a mutual interest of the Flare network, and you formed Sparkles, and I guess it's only been good times from there. So we had a bit of a reflection over on 2023 and some of the key milestones, but now I want to sort of switch paces and look towards more of the future, and this is going to be in terms of what are your what are your predictions for the future of the Flare network in general? And also, what are you most excited about for your particular projects moving forward for this year? And I wouldn't mind starting with the Blockbones project, something that I founded and am very excited about. In 2024, I really want to bring and highlight some of the novel use cases of the Flare network. You know, I think it's up to us as builders to really highlight what makes Flare so special. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of EVM networks out there that are fast, scalable, and cheap. But as developers and the developer community, we really need to showcase what it is that makes Flare so unique. And for me, that's the high integrity data, but also the interoperability protocols as well, where we can really tie in multiple communities together. For Blockbones, we've got the trait store launching this year where people can buy traits. We're going to have a fusion room where people can fuse the traits to their base layer, and then they're going to be able to claim rewards based on the rarity of the NFT that they create. And there's a lot more happening behind the scenes. And yeah, I think 2024 is going to be a really interesting year for the Blockbones project. I guess moving on to the next guest, Marcel, what's going on in 2024 for you, and how do you see Flare evolving in the coming or this year?
Yeah, so we have multiple things planned. One of them is more or less like a low-hanging fruit, which will probably go live pretty soon. That's going to be example projects that actually show how to aggregate the data brought in from Flare in a Squid indexer. And for everyone who has never heard what a Squid indexer is, I'm pretty confident you've heard about subgraphs. So Squid indexers are our like subgraph equivalent and are like super high performant and flexible indexes you can build with the Squid SDK. But on top of it, we've also recently added support for subgraphs, which basically you can just like run your subgraph against the subsquid network, and it's ultimately like a subgraph on steroids for everyone who, for example, doesn't want to like start coding from scratch, because this is something we have noticed in like the last couple of years. So coming back to the community question we had before, actually subsquid also started as kind of a community project where our co-founder Dimitri, he was working on another project, and there was no indexer for substrate-based projects. And similar to here, we've noticed in the last year that a lot of the clients we have came from this like first era of 21 and then early 22. And when we, grew and we scaled, we noticed that bigger projects, they're kind of stuck with the subgraphs, and they don't want to change anything because they don't want to like change a running system, which is totally fine. So there we started adopting the subgraph as well, and you can run these too. And what we specifically have in mind for this year, and I'm going to drop some alpha here. So we're actually building this query engine, like SQL query engine, and later also natural language queries. And for this, we obviously need great data sources. And one of this data source could be Flare. This is something we've been talking about internally a lot. And we do think this is a super innovative and bullish use case, and will actually help to also get more developers into the ecosystem and just make their lives easier, because ultimately that's what will drive adoption and innovation, right? We all want more devs to come into the Web3 ecosystem, because the more devs, the more likely someone will create this killer application, which will ultimately drive mass adoption. And I think these are like small steps towards this big picture. And I think that's what we mainly have in mind for 24 in connection with Flare.
Yeah, I'm particularly intrigued about the SQL queries because, that's a language that I would predominantly use when interacting with databases, and it's and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people who are software developers and maybe haven't really touched the Web3 side of things. So having that familiar language where people can interact and get data easily, it's definitely a step in the right direction in terms of adoption.
Exactly. One more thing to add here, it's also actually like where you can like work with this data, right? For example, like with Subsquid, you can use BigQuery, you can use Amazon Athena. We basically have all of the Web2 enterprise stack integrated with Subsquid. You can basically send the data wherever you want, and you can like use the data in your like environment which you're used to from Web2. So I also think this is highly important, to not let the developers from Web2 kind of like go into Web3 and have like this entire new stack and everything is new, because this is kind of like not what people want. People just want to continue to work in their environment which they're used to. And so definitely I agree with you here. And
so I guess the overarching theme is building and having access to high integrity data, but in a way that is familiar to developers, and almost a seamless transition from the Web 2 world to the Web 3 world, which is obviously very much welcomed. If we move over to Marcus, I know you said you've got staking in the pipeline for this year. Do you have anything else going on for 2024?
Well, let's actually talk a little bit about staking, because I saw your poll on Twitter or from the FTSO AU account before New Year. We actually had a test version of Bifrost, including staking. We were almost ready to release it before New Year, and I saw your poll. It was almost 50-50 who thought we would make it and who thought we would not. Sorry to disappoint those of you who thought we would make it before New Year, but staking is definitely one of the things I'm most excited about. It will come very, very soon. And then going into 2024, it's probably the UTXO blockchains, making sure they are properly integrated and released. We do have an internal test version with those live as well, so we're not starting from scratch. We have been working on it for months. But since they are like a new paradigm to working with chains like XRP or EVM chains, they do take a bit of time. which essentially all epics or major features do. So lots of work going on in the background. And yeah, that also means that here in the early part of 2024, we do have quite a few announcements to make, with staking being the first fairly soon. Or now then, we essentially announced staking at this ecosystem call. So you can expect it super soon. What else? I mean, we do have quite like a long roadmap, several things that's being worked on in parallel, not just staking and these other blockchains like Bitcoin and Litecoin. There are also several UI UX improvements in the pipeline, and of course, some things related to scaling. We do expect to onboard more users, which also means we need to look back at past decisions, make sure they also valid if we scale our user base, let's say 10x. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, just making sure we get a good user experience for F assets is something close to heart. I really want to make sure we have like seamless minting and redemption. And that boils down to bringing it all together. Like once you have these other blockchains integrated, that's not enough for a seamless user experience. That will make it possible to mint and redeem. We want to take it like one step further. But I don't think I should say more. It all boils down to these UI UX improvements. We want to make sure users can access it, but also access it like easily. So
yeah, I mean, it seems like Bifrost has a really strong focus on UI. I mean, a lot of the processes are very simplified. What you guys have done, and the app looks really great. I guess let's go to Cannon from Sparkles. What have we got in store for 2024? What can we look forward to?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty. In fact, I think since 2021, our year that we chose, that's going to be our year, and coincidentally, it's just the year of the dragon. Was 2024. So we had 2024 and 2025 in our minds for 3 years ago, since day zero, when I said we met with the community members on Flare Discord and that, and we said we're going to take this day by day. But we're coming up to now. In fact, I just want to comment on something Bifrost and Ferdi said with F assets. Because in our estimates, we think that 2024, with the rollouts of F assets and that, it's going to bring many new users. And with what Ferdi and Bifrost was saying, with expanding into other chains like BTC and that, having them come over. That's going to lead to growth, which is, for us, is very important. But also, I think we're going to see more different use cases using data outside of crypto pricing and that. And this is something, I mean, Hugo's been talking about constantly, and I think this will come to fruition. But when it comes to personally, we've got big changes coming to the platform, especially in the look and feel of Sparkles, the evolution, we shall call it. So everybody should be excited for that, and it also aligns with the cross-chain future that's being paved by Flare. And I think the other point is we're going to have a greater focus on utilizing Flare's key protocols. But not what the other speakers here were talking about. It mainly ties into our tokenomics and white paper, and which will be revising very soon. There'll be a new one out, which embrace Flare's protocols in conjunction with protocols and services provided by other partners on Flare, especially when it comes to cloud funding and things like that, which I think is an area that will boom on Flare. Especially that it was replicated on Cardano a few years back. So yeah, some exciting stuff that's going to be coming out in 2024. All I can say is just keep an eye on our X account, and yeah, looking forward to it.
As am I. And, I think it's important to highlight here that, Ferdy, Marcus, you talk about integrating F assets and all of that functionality and simplifying it. But, in order to bring this community, these external communities to the Flare network, it's the dApps that really need to integrate these new F assets to give the people a reason to mint, right? Of course, there is the incentive pool, which is going to pay FLR for those that bring over some of these assets. But that's, for me personally, it's not a good enough reason, right? You shouldn't just be bridging assets over to receive another asset. You should be able to use it somehow within the ecosystem. So, Ferdy, do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so before diving into F assets, I'd like to give a quick overview of what we have planned for 2024. And I think 2024 is going to be a really, really big year for Solidify. First off, I'm happy to announce that we have received a developers grant from Flare, which really allows us to fine-tune and enhance our app. The second thing that I'd like to announce is that as we speak, we have a security audit ongoing for our staking module, and that is expected to be done by the end of next week. So we have a full security audit then in place for our staking module, which went live last November 16th. So that is really exciting. And along with version 2.4 that we'll be releasing shortly, that will contain a few bug fixes and enhancements. We're already working on version 3 of our platform. And version 3 will include a rebrand of the Solidify brands. It will be very similar, but it will greatly improve, I think, the overall experience. We're also working on the integration of Tangent cards. Some of the community members have been asking this for quite some time, and we're now finalizing the integration of this. So this will be added to our mobile app. Then we're also looking at launching our own cards, similar to how Zum has this within their platform. We're also working on translations, so we'll be launching our app in different languages, which is really, really exciting. So it will also allow us to eventually market our app in different jurisdictions. And then, of course, there are preparations being made for the F asset system with integration of additional blockchains. And apart from that, version 3 will also include the automated market maker for the XRP ledger, of course, depending on the vote that is currently ongoing. So that is a really exciting time ahead for version 3. Now, besides this, Solidify is also expanding massively behind the scenes. And I think Solidify is really a space to watch in 2024. I think the things that we're building on is, I think the community will really, really love it. And as Flare grows, Solidify will also grow along with it. Of course, as I said, when the FS system expands, Solidify is also looking to integrate the blockchains that come with it. This means that we need to provide the cool features for at least 18 blockchains in the near future. Now, apart from this, Solidify is also setting up multiple companies in various jurisdictions. And when I say companies, I'm talking about compliance-first, highly capable fintech startups that all revolve around the Solidify brand and the blockchain technology. And the XRP ledger and the Flare network will be central to these companies. Now, I cannot give too many details on this yet, but this is, of course, very exciting. One thing that I can already say is that we're looking at bringing big utility to the XRP ledger for business solutions. We're currently in talks with the DIFC in Dubai and are talking with the regulators there and actually planning to set up an office right next to Ripple. And bringing business to the XRP ledger. So this is something that's coming in 2024. Dubai is, of course, a phenomenal place with regulations already in place for the crypto industry. So we aim to do a lot there. And there will be another company, which I cannot give too many details on yet, but this has something to do with tangible assets and tokenization. And this is all quite exciting because we're essentially having a 10-year vision that we're trying to implement within the next 12 to 18 months. But of course, the current version of Solidify revolves around the Flare blockchain, and that will also see enhancements. The mobile app is just early days. It's really just a starting point for us, and we'll be linking all the companies that we're building, back to Flare and the XRP ledger, and offer the community, which includes all communities that come to the Flare network, a full financial ecosystem. And the Solidify team is ready for the coming time. We're closely watching the development and expansion of the Flare network, and bring the best possible user experience to the entire community.
Well, Ferdy, it seems like you've got quite the backlog to keep you busy, not just into 2024, but obviously into the years ahead as well. Harish, do you want to talk about what Covalent's bringing to the Flare network in this year?
Yeah, I'll talk a little generally about sort of our three focuses for 2024, all of which impact Flare. So the first is building out the developer toolkit to make it easier to consume Flare data. So, the unified API has sort of been our bread and butter. We've got a series of SDKs that we've built out. I mentioned the React components. We've also got tooling for basically writing SQL and getting your charts and reports developed. So really being able to just speak the language of developers and what they're looking for to be able to extract on-chain data as quickly and efficiently as possible for their application. The second doesn't quite apply necessarily to Flare, but sort of I think there's maybe some parallels there. So we're effectively moving our staking from Moonbeam back to Ethereum, and there's this element of a fee switch. So what that basically means is we're looking to move a lot of our sort of the revenue streams on chain and drive value token holders, which I think is going to be pretty exciting. And then the third is this commitment to grants for developers in the Flare ecosystem. So in 2023, we kind of experimented with a few accelerators and with a few blockchain partners. So we announced $2.5 million with Polygon. Would love to do something similar with Flare and be able to empower developers in this ecosystem with grants to continue building. So those are the three things that Covalent's going to be focused on for Flare in 2024.